Hello and welcome to Spinster's Library. I'm Claudia and today I need your help. I am looking for some weirdly specific books and I am asking you to recommend me books that feature these prompts and that you think I might enjoy. So I feel like we all have these cravings for books where you're like, ooh, I'd really like to read a novel that is centered around chocolate. Or is that just me? I've collected a few of those cravings that I've had over the past few months, and I'm going to present them to you now in the hopes that maybe you will know the perfect book that fits this specific prompt. So the list, there are 8 items on this list. I think it would be amazing if at the end I would have a list of books that matched these prompts because some of them are so specific that I'm not even sure if there are any books written about it. And no, I'm not going to write my own. You don't want to read my writing. If you have any recommendations, please put them in the comments down below. And also, if you have any weirdly specific requests, put them in the comments down below as well. Maybe I can help you, or maybe someone else who reads that comment will be able to reply with the perfect recommendations. It's basically like a book and recommendation Tinder. It's not really. I've been off the dating game since long before Tinder was a thing, so I don't really know how it works. Anyway, let's get started. My first prompt. I am looking for the perfect near future climate fiction dystopia. So I would like to read a novel that deals with the immediate or near future effects of climate change as a dystopian setting. Which is a bit grim, I will admit, but that's me. I'm not looking for non-fiction books. So for any of these recommendation requests, I'm always looking for fiction. I'm always looking for novels specifically. I feel like I am as well educated on climate change as the average person, but if I want to know more, I will certainly turn to non-fiction books written by experts rather than fiction. But for this prompt specifically, I would love to read a book that will basically give me the worst case scenario, just so I know what to prepare for. My second prompt is I am looking for a novel about the PhD experience or a novel that has a main character who is a PhD student. This is mostly to make me feel slightly less alone and slightly less like I am at the foot of a very tall mountain with very bad thigh muscles. This metaphor is going nowhere. The book doesn't have to focus on the PhD experience. It doesn't have to be a main theme of the novel, but it would be great if the main character or a major character was a PhD student, and that would be a little bit part of their life and their story. My next prompt is a novel set in prehistoric or ancient times that doesn't include supernatural or fantasy elements. Could be about, a Bronze Age main character. It could be about a Neanderthal main character. Wouldn't that be cool? Genre-wise, could be anything. It could be a thriller, it could be a romance, it could be a mystery, it could be literary fiction. Again, age group wise, adult or young adult or middle grade. I'd be interested in any good novels that are set, way in the past. And obviously, I don't really need to mention that historical accuracy in this case doesn't matter at all because, well, we don't really know all that much about the day-to-day life of a Neanderthal, do we? My next prompt is for historical detective fiction. So I'm not talking about detective classics, Sherlock Holmes or something like that. I'm talking about fiction written in the last 50 years that is set in pre-Victorian times. I just like the idea of having a detective doing their work in the Regency period or in the medieval times. And again, the suspension of disbelief, I know that sort of crime solving wasn't really a big thing until Victorian times, but that doesn't matter at all. Give me a Byronic hero solving crimes in 1812, or give me a farmer's maid figuring out who murdered all the cows overnight in, 1435. I don't know, something like that I would love to read. So taking the genre of detective fiction and placing it in the past. My next prompt would be for any novel that is set in the area that I live in, which is North Wales in the UK. This could be any genre. This could be fantasy, it could be crime mystery, it could be literary fiction, it could be absolutely anything. But I would love to read more books that are set in these beautiful surroundings. There's so much gorgeous background here. There's mountains, there's the sea, there's castles, there's old towns, there's tiny creepy villages, there's lots and lots of sheep. I think this would make a beautiful backdrop for a novel. So if anyone knows of a really good novel that is set here, let me know. The next prompt would be to read a good novel about living off-grid or living away from civilization. And this can be as romanticized or realistic as you like. I love watching documentaries about people living on tiny islands of Scotland. Don't know if you've seen any of those. There are a surprising number. There's probably as many documentaries as there are people living on tiny islands of Scotland. But I just like the idea of having a group of people as the centre of a novel that live away from everyone else. Maybe people that don't live with modern technology, or people that isolate themselves from society. I like the idea of being so unaffected by current events and politics. I mean, obviously they're not really unaffected. This is a very romanticized version of how this works, but you get me. I like that idea, I like that vibe, and I would love to read that in a novel because I have run out of documentaries. The next novel that I'm looking for is a lot more topical and a lot more close to my own life. I would love to read a novel that has at least as one of the themes immigration to the UK. This is a topic close to my heart since I am myself a immigrant to the UK, at least temporarily. Let's see what happens post-Brexit, but I'm not going to stay here. So I'm an immigrant myself. I am the child of immigrants. So immigration is very, very, very dear to my heart. And while I have read good books about immigration, I don't think I have read one that deals with immigration within a UK setting. And then the last book that I'm looking for, and this is also kind of inspired by my natural surroundings here, I would love, I'm really craving books that have a non-fantasy medieval castle setting. If you've ever been to North Wales, you know that there's a 12th century castle around every corner, and I have seen them all and I love them dearly, and I would love to read about stories that might have happened in those castles. So again, this can be super romanticized and super inauthentic. It can also be super realistic and super authentic. I just love the idea of a historical novel set in there. Almost every time that I go and visit one of these castles and I walk along the castle wall or I go up in one of the towers, I imagine all of the stories that could have happened there. And I really hope that someone with that imagination and some really good writing skills has turned that into a novel. So this was my list of 8 very specific recommendation requests. I really hope that you know of at least one book that fulfills one of these prompts and that you will let me know, because, well, Christmas is coming up and I intend to give people book titles when they ask me what I want for Christmas, because disappointingly people never seem to get me any books, which is sad. Comment down below with any recommendations you have and also any requests you have, no matter how weird, no matter how specific, because just maybe there is the perfect book for your weird craving out there, and just maybe I will know it, or someone else who reads that comment will know about it. Looking forward to seeing your responses. Thank you for watching. Bye!